Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another 3D Hangouts. Coming up, we're going to take a look at making custom cookies.
We're going to take a look at some custom 3D printed camera adapters.
We'll dig into some live CAD stuff.
And then we'll look at some practical 3D printing in the garage. All that and more on 3D Hangouts.
Guessed it, 3D Hangouts. Let's start the intro. And welcome back everybody to another 3D Hangouts. I'm Noah Ruiz, a designer here at Adafruit. Joining me every week is Mr. Pedro.
What's going on everybody? I'm Pedro Ruiz, creative tech here at Adafruit, and every week we come to share 3D print projects featuring electronics from Adafruit.
That's right, this is where we combine 3D printing, DIY electronics. We do it live to inspire you folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. You are of course watching 3D Hangouts. We do the show live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Let's start off by paying some bills. This week's coupon code is sheet metal.
Sheet metal will get you 10% off on your order. Adafruit.com/new to check out all the new products.
That's right.
We also got some new freebies coming up.
Yep, we have updated the freebies. So this is the freebies for Q1, January 2018. So check those out. We still have same-day delivery. That is an awesome deal that's exclusive to people in the Manhattan area. Certain zip codes apply. Go to the Adafruit website for more if you want to use that option. We also have some newsletters. We have Adafruit Daily. That is an awesome newsletter that has different categories. You got to opt into that. Go to adafruitdaily.com for that.
Thank you for everybody subscribing. Looks like our subscriber count keeps going up for those, as well as the new news, which is the weekly newsletter for all the new products that come out every week. So make sure to sign up for that one as well. Also, don't forget about the Discord chat room.
That's right. This is we'll visit it after the show or
during the show.
During the show, near the end of the show, we're going to take a look at the Discord. We're going to look at the show and tell chat room channel. Yeah, and then we'll see what folks are working on.
Everybody's hanging out in there and the YouTube. Shout outs to everybody in the chat room. Olansky, the Tech Graphics, Writer, Imagination to Form,
Techno Kids,
Blitz City DIYs in the house.
Liz, hello.
Stuart Riggs, Jim. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this lovely morning.
Hope everybody's doing well.
What is it? June 24th.
Yeah.
2018.
Yeah, it's the last show of January. Okay.
So as we dive into this show, it's going to be a little bit difficult not to eat this week's project. These delicious cookies made with some 3D printed tools.
Yeah, this is a fun, interesting project. We definitely want to give credit to where we originally found this project. Lamar sent us a link to a Twitter profile of these gorgeous looking circuit cookies, and there's a nice thread going on like, where did you get these and how did you make them? As far as we could know, it was a laser cutted rolling pin. Well, how do you do that? I did a little bit of research and I actually found a custom rig that's meant to go on top of your existing laser cutter, and this thing is pretty neat. So you basically put this thing, it acts a little bit like a lathe, and you just laser cut your pattern as your rolling pin rotates on this thing. So pretty interesting. The rig is a couple $100, and a laser cutter usually like around $10,000 or so. Maybe with the Glowforge, it would be interesting to see if you could modify this to work with that. But
wow, yeah.
Pretty intense, yeah. So there's a lot of different companies that make this rig and just sell custom circuit thing. Well, not circuit patterns, but every type of pattern. So I actually found where you can purchase this. It's about 30 bucks for this rolling pin. Pretty cool. I mean, if you really want to get it in wood, why not? So I figured I'd share that with you guys. However, we were able to make it with like 10 cents of material. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so Lamar pointed these over to us and said, hey, can't we just print these in NinjaFlex flat and then roll them around a rolling pin and then just staple it? So the first thought was, I don't think it'll work with NinjaFlex, so I immediately tried to do the pattern to wrap around the cylindrical little sleeve that would go on to the rolling pin.
Yeah.
So a first attempt looked like this, where I was able to project the patterns onto just a regular cylinder, but the problem that we ran into was having all these distortions right at the edge of where the cylinder starts to curve around the pattern. So it wouldn't happen when it's straight on, but it happens drastically right at the edge here, and that definitely showed up in the first batch that we tried to texturize.
Yeah, I think wrapping textures around a cylinder or any type of curve can be a little bit of a tricky thing to do in Fusion 360. So one of the new things that Fusion added was sheet metal tools. So it's this whole new environment inside of Fusion 360.
So you're thinking, what does sheet metal have to do with this?
Yeah.
So it gives you the ability to work with, well, what this is supposed to be is to work with like those bending machines, right, that bend sheet metal.
Yes.
And because you are bending something that's going to be straight, it gives you the ability to unwrap things, like unwrap the geometry, so you can
flatten it out.
So you can test out how you can like fold it to, to fold the sheet metal. It's like how they make a lot of the printers.
Imagine a box too, how box designs are flat and then they get folded. So sheet metal tools could actually be used for that as well. So definitely want to give a big shout out to Vladimir, who actually put together a tutorial on how to wrap text around a sort of like a ring. So really, really good tutorial. It really got us thinking about how can we use this. This was a couple weeks ago, and then when the rolling pan idea was like, hey, maybe we can do it with this technique, and it totally worked out really well. Check out Vladimir. He has a YouTube channel. He goes by Desktop Makes. Does a lot of great content. Check him out. He's been on the show and tell. He's got some really cool projects that use both 3D printing and a little bit of woodworking and that sort of stuff. Very cool.
Really nice detailed tutorial on that, so we won't go over it. We'll just cover like an overview.
Yeah, I also linked it in the video too, just so people know about it. All right, so let's take a look at the guide. So if you go to learn.adafruit.com.
So let's go back over to the overhead and look at the...
Okay, you want to eat these cookies now?
Yeah. It was a couple of different things. It was the design of getting the non-distorted texture, but also the dough to not rise and distort the texture and the shape of it itself. So we'll take a look at that. Let's go ahead and jump into that. Just wanted to show how crisp and...
The guide, sorry, I wasn't listening. I was reading comments. Sorry. Everybody wants a laser cutter now.
I know,
no,
right?
Use your 3D printer. What's going on?
Well, for this application, it turns out you don't need all that equipment. Yeah. Let's go ahead and jump into the materials you need. It's super simple, just a printer that has a height of at least 180 millimeters. You could, although, chop it up as long as it fits the size of the cookie cutout that you'll be using. Of course, you don't need to cut it out. You can just have squares as well.
All right, so onto the 3D printing part. So you can download all of the files as STLs or the original Fusion 360 files, which we have here. And these are completely modifiable. It's driven with a sketch, so you can come in here and change the diameter. Funny story is we originally modeled this for our regular wooden rolling pin, and it fit fine. We kind of did a couple iterations. You want to print a little piece to test out the fit before committing to printing something that takes maybe 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
But what happened was wood tends to expand, right? So we ran it through the dishwasher, and then we tried to put the sleeve on, and it didn't fit anymore. So lucky for us, though, you don't really need the rolling pin. So one of the things that I would love to see if somebody, we don't have time to do it, but you could design your own handles to kind of cap off these ends here. But
it works
actually
originally what I was going to do, but when Lamar said just make the sleeve for it, and then when I actually used it without the rolling pin, it turns out you don't even need the handles.
That's right. And real quick about the cookie cutters, I actually put these together way back in 2016. So we never really shared these files, but now they make sense to share. And a huge shout out to Stephanie, who works here at Adafruit. 2016, she put together this video. She had this idea to make a holiday shipping video, and she asked if we could make some cookie cutters that are themed around the Circuit Playground. So we got LEDs and Adabot and Adafruit. So check this video out if you haven't seen it yet. You may have missed this one. It is, again, from 2016, but she put together stop motion, and she baked a ton of cookies. Very, very cool. You can see all the different kind of shapes and stuff. I had a playback issue. I'll link it down below, or you can just search for it in our YouTube channel. But very, very fun. Happy to finally release these cookie cutters. But again, you can get both of the files and modify them if you'd like. So let's go back over to the learning guide and talk about how you can 3D print these. What are some slice settings you might want to use, and really what slice settings we used.
Yeah, as long as your bed level is properly set up, you can actually print these with no brims, no support. Prints completely vertical. The 45-degree patterns that are on there should do just fine with just the active cooling fan on your printer. So you don't need any supports for that or any brims or anything like that.
Yeah.
Regular print settings, just 230 for the temperature, 60C for the bed, and then the extrusion width, 0.38 worked just fine for this. The only different thing that I added on here was the infill. I would probably try 100% because at 10% infill, it was doing a lot of retraction on the Ultimaker. Luckily, it was able to print this without any issues, but just in case, not all printers have the same, retractable or the same level of retraction quality as other printers. So I would suggest probably bumping that up to 100 infill, just so you're not just printing just a little bit of things and then just retracting and moving on, because they are pretty thin, the traces on this for the pattern. They're about 1 millimeter extruded inwards.
Yeah, 1 millimeter deep, and it's total, I think, 2 millimeters thick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's pretty thin in terms of what the nozzle is.
Yeah, so it's about 3 to 4 perimeters that are constantly being printed. So it's pretty much 100% infill, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The speeds and stuff, obviously the slower you go, the better quality you get. But we found a happy medium around 60 millimeters a second for the default printing speed and 120 for the travel speed. Mm-hmm. It's typically, commonly, I mean, the higher would be like 90. 60 is just that sweet spot, like kind of right in the middle.
Yeah, so the only drawback to this is just how long it takes. The 100 millimeter long version takes about 6 hours, I want to say, to print.
6 hours.
And this is, printing pretty fast as well. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Moving on to the actual cookie cutters. You want to,
I think, about 1.5 hours or maybe less.
And that's all 3 of them at the same time. So these will definitely print a lot more quicker. Just want to make sure that your extrusion width is set up so you only have 2 perimeters for the walls to ensure that you're able to cut through the dough
or play around with the settings, depending on which setup you have.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, so modifying the design, we talked a little bit about it. It is pretty straightforward. You do want to be careful with with this design. It's very heavy, so I'm going to jump into Fusion real quick. See if we can do that without any problems. So I'm going to jump into Fusion and pretty much show you guys. The model is kind of heavy. When you try to modify the sketch and jump out of the sketch, Fusion tends to recalculate all of the geometry, so it can take about a minute or so depending on your computer. So it's very
heavy to work with,
mainly because there's so much pattern. There's so much really geometry and little faces that are cut into the surface, so it has to compute all that stuff.
And because it's an SVG import, it always has to do like this translation between
a little bit, yeah.
paths.
So what I wanted to show you guys was, first of all, I guess if I edit something, I have to be very careful. Right?
I would not.
I'm probably not going to do it.
It's going to slow down.
I'll show you just the sketch. Oh, please don't do it. Okay. I'll show you just the sketches. So there is a circle sketch here, which you can just change the radius for if you'd like. One of the things that makes this work is that you actually have to kind of intersect and cut the circle, so it's more of a curve and not like a fully closed circle. And then this will allow you to create a straight edge, like a very small straight edge for the bending, the unfolding to happen inside the sheet metal tools.
It's one of the hacks that are required to make this to work.
So it's a bit of a hack. So another thing is I really would recommend, if you're doing some pattern work, I would definitely suggest drawing your pattern, drawing it using Fusion 360. So what I did here was I created a new pattern here using the center to center slot, and that allowed me to make these these traces where they kind of have this sort of push and shove behavior. So I can come in here and modify these edges, or really these points, that will kind of push and move all of the surrounding geometry around it. So again, that's the center to center slot tool to create these lines, and then just using the circle tool to create these. But what I ended up doing was I didn't want to make a whole mess of them. This looks like a lot, but as you can see with this 100 by 100 sketch, I made it about 50 by 50. That way I can somewhat create a seamless pattern by using Fusion's pattern tools, the rectangular pattern. That way you can patternize it going across vertically, horizontally, and up vertically, so that you can create this pattern. So that's how I was able to achieve that one. Now if I were to hit stop sketch, Fusion's going to have to recalculate everything, so I'm just going to leave it like that. The next thing I wanted to show you is, we talked about how it doesn't distort, and that's really good. So what I want to do is I want to see how this works with splines instead of like a perfect circle. I wanted to see if this would work with splines. So what I came up with is just a single edge spline that kind of resembles a bit like a cuff or a bangle, bracelet, whatever you want to call it. And I applied this knurling feature by just making 2 cross-hatching cuts and then making a giant pattern across them. But the point here is that you can modify your body after it's been refolded. And I wasn't sure if you were able to do that. So these fillets here, for example, and this one here going around the edge, really shows that you can really mash this thing and bend it to your will. That, and just it was fun doing this knurling technique, which is a little bit heavy, but it tends to work. So driving your geometry with a spline makes it so that I can modify it. I won't do it here because it might take a minute to recalculate. Running, yeah. So if you don't have a heavy pattern, you can modify. It would be quick to modify this. And then of course the thickness of this thing is changeable in the rules. The rules for the sheet metal. That would be right here, sheet metal rules. And then you can see it's 250. You can make it thinner or thicker if you need. Another thing is I really wanted to see how would this work with something like this.
Those look like Koopa.
Yeah, this is like cuffs. King Koopa's cuffs. Yeah. So what I ended up doing was seeing if it made sense to do something like this. And obviously, what I would do normally is print this out. I would print this out in NinjaFlex and then just wrap it around. So once I flattened it out, I drew these spikes. Well, I kind of played around with doing these little top and bottom edges. I drew this spike and then I patterned it out this way. And I was wondering, will these become distorted if I wrap it, right? If I refold it? And it turns out that you do get a little bit of distortion. So you can see they're a little bit more bubbly. It kind of works here.
They're trying to go with the direction of the fold.
So if you're doing a pattern that is extruded out, it's like extruded geometry, not internal, you might get this sort of thing here, but it kind of works here. And it works well because you really get this curve that you really wouldn't be able to design otherwise. So I think that might be an interesting project.
Yeah, so somebody did mention that the more you extrude, the more that you will notice the distortion of it.
So it's not going to work with everything. It won't maintain all the geometry, but for the most part, it works pretty well.
And these would still work pretty good in NinjaFlex, just so they maintain their shape. They always stay at this angle without having to bend it all the time, have like a little clasp or whatever to hold together.
Right on. Okay, so let me quit Red Giant trying to update in the background. All right, so that's the CAD. A lot of cool, interesting techniques that went in there, and I hope that inspires you to try to check it out and play around with it if you are looking to do something similar. Let's talk about actually baking the cookies and kind of
actual assembly of this. A large portion of this was making sure you had non-rising dough. A lot of the dough that we tried was just the quick off-the-shelf, in the freezer section, that was, just ready to go, that immediately expanded and was super hard to work with. Was really sticky, especially as it started to thaw out.
Yeah, let's roll that. So would you want to talk about that since we're over there? Okay, so we didn't really know how to bake cookies So what we did was we did what anybody does. We go to the store and buy some dough. We doughed it up and did a little bit of research on how to roll the cookies out, but we kept getting very sticky dough, and we used a lot of flour to kind of make it so that it wouldn't stick, and it still stuck very, very badly, even
so
to the work
shows
surface.
this off, but then neglects to mention how they actually got these cookies actually.
We did see a lot of that. We were trying to find out, well, how do you make these cookies that are sharp edges that don't expand and lose their texture? So it really comes down to the dough. All the dough that we found at the store it has baking soda or baking powder in it, so it expands and just the shape doesn't hold. So another problem that we found was, because it was so sticky, our rolling pin kept getting a bunch of flour and just
and here's a good thing
dough
to mention
stuck
too,
in it.
With the non-rising dough recipe, because we ran out of time, you could definitely use some food coloring and then icing on top to complete the decoration on it.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and jump into what did work.
Okay.
The main thing is just to make it from scratch or find any dough that isn't self-rising. That should work out. All the ingredients are listed here. Super easy to do. You can find all these.
Skip that really quick. Non-rising dough.
That is the main
I
thing.
have to underscore that. Like, guys, that didn't work for us with regular store-bought dough.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the ingredients for this dough. It's pretty much
They're
butter,
all listed
sugar.
there. Yeah, as you can check them out. This isn't a cooking show, but let's go ahead and skip down to using the parchment paper to roll this, so you don't have to use any. You don't have to do any dusting of the counter. Saved a lot of mess. And then, of course, to actually rolling your pattern. Like we said before, it is meant to act as a sleeve on an existing rolling pin, but you don't really need it. You can just press down with your hand in an even rolling motion, so that it's all nice and even. And then when you apply the cutters, make sure that you push down on the edges of the sides, not the middle, because that's where some of the textures are for our design.
Yeah,
so
the eyes and
mouth, the teeth, so all those come out nice and crisp. So just don't push down on the center side of that, and then you can.
They're fairly large cookies, so you have to kind of cut them out in a way where it kind of makes
standard
sense.
size of a cookie, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
Lay those out on more parchment paper and then bake them for about 9 minutes until the edges start turning crispy, golden.
Yeah, 9 minutes. It's a little bit hotter than normal cookies. I forget why.
It's because of the parchment paper.
Okay. All right.
And these should turn out beautiful, crisp edges.
Should. Just to say it out there, it took us we filmed this thing 4 different times, and it took a little bit of effort, but once we got that dough down, it really was easy to streamline it and just kind of roll it out.
So what do they taste like? They're like shortbread cookies. They're not too sugary.
They taste like cookies.
Well, not like sugar
delicious.
cookies. And I wanted to point out too that you don't have to do the texturing on it. The cookie cutters will work just fine, but look at the difference on them. It definitely adds more character.
Do some super macro.
Yeah, check out the quality. And these cookies are 2 days old. They've been in a Tupperware container, so they're still fresh.
Yeah, we literally baked these on Monday.
Yeah.
I want to say.
And then here is the comparison without any textures in it. Definitely gives it more, I think it makes it tastier, actually.
Makes it tastier. That's funny.
You can see the bottom here. Just want to make sure that they don't overcook.
But then how can you eat those fancy cookies? They're too fancy.
I know. Like, I had to pick out all of the, the distorted ones.
Ones. A little bit too
maybe
burnt,
this one. No, that one's good. It's so hard to choose one to eat because we got to save some for the show and tell.
Don't eat it now.
What?
Eat it now. What are you doing? Delicious. Make robot cookie, not robot enemy.
So these should last well, especially if you put them in the container. And the trick that my wife likes to use is to have like a piece of bread in there so they stay nice and moist.
Yeah, it's a good one as well. Okay, well.
Kirby says, now for some frosting skills. I definitely ran out of time for that one, but yeah, you should be able to use like the gold or the yellow icing, and that would look, especially with like, if you use the color dye on here, make like blue or green ones. Make some like Adafruit ones.
You certainly have a lot of dough to work with, so you can make a bunch of cookies. Just a lot of them.
It should make about 30 cookies.
30?
Yeah.
Okay. You made about 10 or 20?
About like 20, yeah.
Okay. Sweet.
Yes, just make more.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So if you want to get some of these cookies, so how does that work? How do you?
You know, you can just print out the textures for this, especially if for like Valentine's, especially coming up, you can make some really custom ones.
I want to see the rest of this video. Where we,
the rest of the fail.
Yeah. The rest of the fail, yeah, just to show you that you didn't get it on the first try, or the second, or even the third.
No, the third time came out good.
We actually got different dough. We got some like organic store-bought dough from like Annie's or something. It had a different texture to it. It was like, you know.
That's a good point. Yeah. Imagination of Form is saying, remember the transistor candies that were made here? The gummies? Becky made these with 3D printed little legs.
Oh, wow. I remember those.
Yeah.
And LEDs too, yeah.
LED
gummies. Yeah, those are cool.
Those are really good. We might revisit that, huh?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe make some 3D printed mold.
They're all like puffed up, and we tried to fix them with the icing. It just wasn't working out.
Yeah.
They don't even look like they have anything on them. And a word, of course, about food safety. Some people were concerned about that. We do note in the video, probably want to do just one single use, and then maybe make a mold out of it in a future project. We'll probably do that near the end of the year when it comes back down to wind down and stuff. But you do probably want to wipe it down with some alcohol or something just to disinfect it.
I wouldn't use it twice, just because, especially
no, before even using it, straight off the printer, you probably want to disinfect it.
If you're using a lot of exotic materials in your nozzle, yeah.
Yeah.
But in terms of reusing it, I wouldn't, just because there could be little bits of pieces that could get stuck in between the walls.
Right.
So that's why I was suggesting 100% infill, so it's like just solid. Hopefully,
and they look great in these shots, but that's because they're not baked yet. That's
raw.
raw.
This is still the fail footage for that.
So anyway, just so you guys know. Cool. Well, that's pretty much this week's project. Hope you guys like it and get inspired to play around a little bit in the kitchen, just a little bit of culinary arts.
Well, the main thing that
printing.
got me interested in this project was just the design aspect on getting the
it was the design challenge as we
around.
saw it, and it's an interesting design technique that
Benji is saying that this would be great for painting textures on a wall. Absolutely.
Oh,
that is a really good idea.
That's super cool idea. I didn't
I'm
think of that.
reuse this project as
Some
the rolling
sort of stamp or rolling.
We're especially since we're Brandy's redesigning her office,
That's an interesting
her
thing,
room right now.
Yep.
It is a really good idea.
Sweet.
And then Liz is saying that you can brush the dough with egg whites and sprinkle colored sugars to make the color bake on top and make them shiny. That's pretty good. Oh yes, if anybody else has different ingredients that are
recipes,
recipes for non-rising dough for this, please post them in the comments for that. Like I said, these aren't. Would have liked if they were sugar cookies, but
yeah, they're shortbread.
It tastes good too.
Kind of like an animal
definitely
cracker.
Share any other ingredients for some crispy.
Use it and chuck it. This is.
Yeah, that's basically what we did for every shot. So we had to print like 4 versions of these for each shot.
Yep. But again, it doesn't cost us much in material. It's just time.
It's just the time, yeah. They take
luckily, we have
quite a while
printers,
to print.
So we can print as many cookies as we need.
Any other comments on this? I like the transistor candies, LED candies. Definitely look at those for maybe towards the end of the year, like you said.
Okay.
I really like these baking shots. Setting all this up was fun.
Cool.
Moving on to this week's prototyping.
This week we are prototyping. Let's take a look at what we're prototyping. It's really practical 3D printing.
So the first one is just an update on the GoPro little mount that we showed off last week. Super simple 2-knuckle to 3-knuckle adapter. It's using the 3/8 to 1/4-20 and the 20 to 20. When I stocked this in the shop, you were like, why do we need this?
Yeah.
And this is exactly why, so we can have one connect to the bottom and still have the tripod bit on top of here. So this was excellent for doing the time lapses. But when we went to Disney last week, we can't bring this in because they have a policy of no telescoping little tripods. Although I don't know how people still sneak them in there anyway.
They do. I think they put them in their purse or in their pocket.
Yeah. So the way around that was using the little handle, the little Bluetooth handle that I have on the selfie stick, because it does not telescope. So I just made a little adapter. This guy here. Do I have a free one? So it's this guy here that just, you're able to insert the little Bluetooth controller onto here, and on the bottom you have the same 3/8, a quarter, 20, so you can add these super cool little fancy tripod feet that we're taking a look at. So it'd be really good to stock for a lot of our projects.
Yeah, these are great
sturdy.
for small displays, not just cameras.
Mm-hmm. And on the top here I have yet again another, let me get this off.
Is all adapters.
I know, it's with adapters. The again, the quarter 20 or the 20 to 20, so you can attach the another thing that we're checking out to stock, this more beefy
I love this thing, yeah.
ball head for like the monitors and displays. So we use these so much. Sometimes the smaller ones just don't.
They tend to grind because
if you have
there's a lot of weight on
heavy
it.
load on it, yeah.
So this one is machined out of some really nice aluminum. And it has like this really big knob. It's just a lot thicker and better material.
It is way more sturdy than the ones. Yeah. I mean, the other ones are good for like small things, but this one, for like the monitors,
maybe double the price though, but it's not too bad. About 10 bucks.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get these in stock as well. But this was pretty much the rig that I used for doing the 360 footage.
And we're using it right now in front of us, right here.
Oh, you can't see it, but it's right here. We have another one right there. But super simple, all practical 3D printing things. It's basically just adapters for adapters.
Yep, adapters for your adapters.
Yeah.
So if you want to pick up any tripod bits, we have a lot of them.
Oh, we finally got them back in stock. Yes,
we have a lot of them in the store. All you got to do is just type in tripod, and
we were sweating a little bit since we needed more of these for. We use them like every other project requires these for attaching
just do a
things.
search for tripod. You can see they have the insert, a D-ring, and some other bits and stuff, even for the Raspberry Pi camera. Here's that quarter 20 to quarter 20 screw adapter, some other stuff like that. So, but these are the majority of them. The ball head is not here for.
I'll probably on the next page.
Yeah. No, there's no next page. Maybe there is. Maybe not. Anyway, we're getting rid of that one. We're going to get these other ones.
Yeah.
So if you want to pick up any of that stuff for your camera needs, you can.
And then another thing that was prototyping was in the garage, we have wires just everywhere because of the chargers for the cars. Wanted to make something that would be a holder and something to hold the cables onto. So if you could roll the Snapchat footage of that.
Sure. So this is Pedro's latest work in progress. Looks like it's working.
Yeah, so it just snaps onto the shelves.
Yeah, the edge of the shelves have the little clip, and then we can connect our charger handle to that little purple adapter there. So no need to screw into the wall because these just hang onto that ledge of our shelves. Because all the shelves we have are pretty standard. They all have the same thicknesses and tolerances. So this is a pretty cool little thing. So you found this on Thingiverse, and
yeah. So I found both of these were on Thingiverse, and all I did was import these as STLs inside of Fusion, and then use the spline tool to trace out spline tool to trace out what the port for the entrance was. And if you jump over to the overhead, it's so simple. It's just a little rectangular little notch that actually holds the port charger in place. Nothing fancy about it. And then all I did was combine the little brackets that we use for all of our tool racks here. You see on all the back
these
there.
racks are being held with these little 3D printed clips. So if you're looking for a way to mount your tool racks to your shelves, you can whip yourself a tiny little thing like this, hooks into those holes, and then just latches on to the ledges of your shelf. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, so I redrew this with just a couple of lofts that are connected together to make this nice little shape, and this is just to hold the cords on. So the original design for this actually included this port opening on the inside of that, but because they combined it, they didn't need to have as much wire space So because I have it separate so it doesn't protrude outwards and into the path of the garage, I separated these and have them at the corner to each shelf. So a nice little way to take existing designs, copy the tolerances so you don't have to figure that out for yourself, and then just recombine them with existing geometry that you have made. It's a nice, simple way to keep the garage nice and tidy with the cables.
Got a couple questions. Let's start off with what is a spline tool? That's just a line tool, basically. It's
like a Bezier
for drawing curves. Yeah,
so it has handles so you can smooth everything
out. Draw really nice
That
curves.
sounds like a nice layer by layer.
I have a couple of them. Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, on my Sheikah pendant. That one's all splines and how to work with them. Another question is, how do you add and export solids to a mesh in Fusion? I was having trouble with it.
So I think Lars just came out with a really good tutorial.
Lars Christensen,
yes.
who runs the Lars Christensen YouTube channel. He works for Autodesk. I'll link it down below, but if you search for meshes in Fusion 360, there is a great handful of tutorials you can check out. You didn't actually modify the STL. You can take an STL and translate it into a solid and then modify it.
I use it as a reference.
It depends a little bit on the geometry, yeah. But using it as reference is probably the better idea.
I think it was faster because then I can
modify it. Because it's completely parametric. You can modify it and not have to worry about if the body will break or something like that.
Because unfortunately, when you import the STL, it's still triangles. You can't.
But it can do it, right?
You can't select faces.
I've seen some things pretty crazy.
But then at that point, since you're redrawing it, and for people that aren't completely understanding what we're even talking about, there definitely check out the tutorials first. So you can get an idea of the. There's a lot of steps.
Also, what is this thing? I wasn't sure. So this is a charger, a charging handle.
It's just a port
for an electric vehicle.
So this just goes in like that, and it just holds on. So it's not like on the floor.
Magical. It's a magical tool, says Jim. It really is. Avoided it forever, and I can't live without it. Yeah, me too. I've avoided it too because it's a little bit weird.
I like
so definitely check out one of my layers. I really show you how to work around it and work with it. It's a little bit different than the regular line tool.
I mean, it works like the pen tool inside of Photoshop or Illustrator. It has the nice handles, so you can smooth curves out.
Yeah. Coming from a graphic designer, you'll know, like, oh, okay, Bezier curves. Sweet. So yeah, so this is for a Tesla. So this will be probably next week's project because we need to ramp up on some of the bigger projects. This one's a great use of practical printing. Same thing with the tripod.
Good lofting techniques, good modeling for referencing designs around something that's already existing, so you don't have to waste all that time on tolerance testing for that. So that'll be what the main points about that.
Sweet.
Liz is saying that she needs to practice with spline goes haywire. Yes, it can definitely go haywire. Especially when you get like the handles too close.
You move one handle and everything moves. It's like
that shape where it goes like that.
In the tutorial, I show you how you can make you can chain them together to make where it doesn't mess with the next one. You have to just kind of keep closing the spline to make a new one.
Like command keys that you can hold down.
There's command key stuff too as well.
For switching between like a line into like a radius into a curve.
Cool. All right. Well, I can't wait to stop. Leaving the charger on the floor. Right? Where is it right now? Is it on the floor?
No, this is the second pair of them. It's just hanging there right now.
All right. Cool. So, and all the Teslas have the same charging handle?
Yeah, they all look like that.
Cool. Okay.
They all work the same way. It's just this simple little nub that holds them into place.
Cool. Alrighty. So that's where we're prototyping.
The prototyping section. Jumping over into shop talk, we have a live unboxing of.
Yeah, we got this thing in the mail. We're gonna see what it is.
I think I have a good idea of what it is since we saved it. Let's see if these tabs don't break on me.
Okay. Try to make room here for you.
Yay! They usually break on me. And we have here the 3D printing book by the folks over at 3D Hubs.
So 3D Hubs is a website. It's a bit of a 3D printer directory. Think about Airbnb, but for 3D printers. You might have heard about them. A couple of people here in the chat room have a 3D Hub where they will take orders, 3D print them, and you can pay them for the parts. So it's sort of this crowdsourced, collection of 3D printer people. So the folks from 3D Hubs came out with a resource tool for new people and anyone really who's looking to use 3D printing in their workflow. This is meant for like
Cool.
mechanical engineers, designers, that sort of stuff. Oh, look, we got a
Got
50%
$50 credit.
gift card. So we're looking at this to potentially stock it in the store. We came from a graphic design background and did a lot of video editing, and every industry and career kind of has their own handbook, right? You have the electronics handbook, you have a handbook for machining, you have the machinist handbook. Now we have one for 3D printing.
one.
So this is a great resource tool for tolerance testing,
Powder
materials,
removal,
not just FDM, but SLA, everything's
SLS.
probably broken up into those, overhangs, minimum wall thicknesses, all that sort of stuff, support material, expansion, materials, science stuff. It's pretty interesting.
How to lay things
A lot
on
of great resources in here. Of course, there's things online, and there's a plethora of tutorials and things, but it's also nice to have something physical you can kind of flip through and find real quick if you want to know about it. So I think they put a lot of efforts into this book, and it's on sale on Amazon, which I'll link down below. But yeah, it's meant for more of the designer, I believe.
Yeah, how to lay things out, bridging. So it looks like this is very handy for a lot of...
Handy, it's a handbook.
It's a handy handbook to use. Yeah, this is all tips on how to lay things out, how to clean things out, how to design for fuse fabrication.
Yeah, I like that it's not just FDM.
Oh, check it
Oh,
out.
the
People who
boosted.
used it, yeah.
The
Looks like
boosted.
Boosted used it a lot. Oh yeah, remember these? Can you take a look at this? Is a nice little reference for how to lay out
It's a
designs.
big reference. There's
Yeah,
like
this
hundreds
is-
of pages. Nice hard cover.
I like how the cover actually is showing exactly what this whole book is about.
Yeah, love it. Love the
Pretty
iconography.
cool. Yeah, we will continue to take a look at this after the
Yeah,
show.
just a quick little unboxing for
Ooh.
you.
Nice little embossed
Oh yeah, that's
text
great.
here. Yeah, good.
Sweet,
Very nice.
cool. I'll be reading that. All right, so that's a bit of a shop talk.
Next up is this week's Time Lapse Tuesday.
This is fun. Print and place designs are pretty mind-blowing and really show how 3D printing is pretty much the only way to make these type of things, right? So let's take a look at these twin hinges of death.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, so these are printed, fully assembled, printed in place using regular PLA material. I'm going to pull up the Thingiverse website so you can see it's on Thingiverse by Enrico Reyes on Thingiverse. And he's using it here to kind of pick up two pens and draw double things, which is kind of what we tried to do. But it was a bit of just a fun example here. So really a great test to see how well your printer's calibrated. Really just how
Leveling,
well
the tolerance, the belts, how all that is all playing together to make sure that these parts don't fuse together. So as you can see in the time-lapse video, right off the build plate, we were able to snap these off and they were working right away.
Yeah.
So using a 0.38 millimeter layer width for this, and the way that the hinges are working is they're sort of like funnels. So take a look at the overhead a little bit.
You drew a little LED. That's kind of hard to draw.
It
There's
was,
your Adafruit
of
logo.
course, all my best drawings were off camera.
Yeah, right. I just like your t-shirt with the crayon.
Yeah, the purple
That's really
PLA it's called Lilac. Yanni's asking. It's from the people over at Melt Ink. And I think this is one of the colors that we're going to start stocking as well.
You can see it does have some infill to it, so it's not fully solid. But
I think it's about 15% infill
yeah,
for this.
no scaling. It's just full 100%
No
scale.
scaling, yeah. I should have scaled it, huh? To have like this giant...
Yeah, it's very, very fun. Let's take a look at the overhead now.
Yeah, so as we were talking about for the hinges, the way that these are designed, it's like a little funnel, so the edges just barely touch. And
Twin
allows
Hinge
for-
Combat Fighting League.
I know, right? And this is actually a remix of the single hinge
Oh, is it?
design. Yeah, so it's
that's
linked in the...
Yeah, Joel should
description
G-Max that. for
Yes,
us.
that would be awesome. Just like grab, you know, like
Pick up
two of his kids' heads.
pick
Yeah,
his child. That's funny.
Hilarious.
Okay, well, if you want to test out if it fits on your bed, do you think
it should, because it prints
maybe
flattened
diagonal
out like that? Yeah, you could probably
it's
make it diagonal.
Yeah, pretty cool how it prints flat like that.
It's all nice bottom there, and again the 0.38 millimeter line.
If you're getting some fusion, like if the hinges are fusing, I think one of the things would be to make it a little bit more loose on the bed. What do you think?
The extrusion width.
Extrusion width. So lower it down. Okay.
Probably down to 0.3, maybe.
Yeah, there should be plenty of clearance around the geometry, though, no matter what the thickness is. But it might affect it.
Yeah. So really awesome.
Definitely a brim. If you print with a brim, it'll probably affect it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because it'll fuse all these.
Yeah.
Yep. Just the skirt is all I used on this. Definitely a distractor in an office. So
yeah, we sent it to Lamar last week. She kept playing with it, poke and fill. It's pretty fun.
It's definitely a cool print. Check it out. It's listed.
Yep,
the links are listed in there.
Great
and
work,
then
Enrique.
you were tweeted at about the BCN Sigma 3D.
I was. So this person here on Twitter, who goes by Neotico Sabas, I was mentioned, this person was trying to use 175 diameter filament on the Sigma BCN 3D printer. And we talked about this a couple of years ago or months ago.
It was like the whole show.
It really is as easy as getting rid of one set screw, or no, regular screw, on the mount of the feeder. So
yeah, it's on the
what you
inside
can
of that.
see
you
here,
can't really see it in that plate. We'll
you
link
can
to the
see
whole
here,
video on
it's
that,
pretty good here. There's a screw that stops the handle for the spring grabber to kind of fully close. So if you get rid of that screw,
you can actually get a full grip on the smaller diameter.
Yeah, so really awesome that he figured it out, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. If you are trying to use 175 diameter filament on your BCN 3D Sigma 3D printer, this is probably the way to do it, is to get rid of that screw.
Yeah.
Because he had some issues, obviously, trying it, doing different things.
Oh, yeah.
And it ended up being the screw.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it was so weird. We tried to get them to remove that, but whatever process they had in place, they didn't want to switch it up. And a quick update on the 2 Sigmas that we sent over to Kirby. Looks like he has them up and running. It was just a belt, and then one of the bearings needed to be replaced. And I think he has footage of those working here.
Is it Kibi 18 or Kibi 81, right?
And I think he's going to add some BodTech feeders as well. A lot of people seem to be doing that.
Checking in with Kirby here. Checking him
mod.
out. Yeah, so he's got him up and running. He was able to print out the OK synth from Malensky.
Nice.
Very awesome. I'm actually looking at printing this out for Time Lapse Tuesday. And he updated the firmware, so it's running really well. And here's another part that might be contributing to the kind of wobble that you get on the Z. So just checking your belts and
these are all just first.
I mean, we put
problems.
hundreds of hours into these machines.
Yeah.
They're not maybe thousands of hours. So very awesome.
Again, we're just pointing these out in case there are any first batch buyers out there. This is
I like how
check out.
I like how they reached out. Like, hey, you can contact our support team. Kirby's like, I did that.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Well,
he's saying that the R16 is still down.
They're a great open source company, and they share all their files and take community support.
They have all their circuit boards. They have all of their CAD, all their sheet metal designs, all that, all on their GitHub. And I think we just got more in stock for the BCNs. They should be in the 3D print section. BCN 3D. Yeah, we got 4 more in stock.
Beefy printer, big volume, heated bed, touch screen.
Independent
dual extruders.
If you want a beefy, and it's so quiet.
It's very quiet.
So freaking quiet.
Yeah, look at the detail on that. See that? Oh, it's so clever.
That's pretty good.
Pretty nice printer.
And 175 and 285 millimeter filament.
Erin St. Blaine just got one as well. She's been using it, and it's an upcoming project. It's going to look really cool.
Really cool dual print stuff.
Yeah.
And he's also saying Sigma Max is showing up in places too. I hope they send me one. Maybe. I don't know. We're already waiting for more printers, so it's like, Jesus.
Not more
already. Gonna fill up the garage again.
Sweet.
What else is he saying? YX's belt is causing some loose steps over length. Yes, I did notice that on the R16. It's all, for us, it's like, you know, we're more focused on the design, so the fixing of things is, you know, not something we look forward to, but it's pretty easy. It's, if you really know how the mechanics of all this works. So
Sweet.
definitely good. And of course, all of the new ones that we have in stock don't have any of these problems.
Don't forget, you can buy a printer, free shipping for USPS ground.
Free shipping and 10%
US
off.
Continental. Yeah, and 10%
For all the
off.
printers that are in the stock, not just the BCNs,
Just
the
throwing it out there.
Ultimaker 2 pluses, Ultimaker 3s, Type A machines. What else do we got?
Micro 3D?
We're sold out.
Oh, yeah.
Sold out of those.
Cool.
And of course, all the filament, we'll be getting all those lovely colors in, and it supports everybody here at Adafruit. We are VC free, all owned by Lamar and Phil.
Grassroots.
Supporting everybody's health care, 401ks, all that cool stuff here.
Yeah.
You buy from us.
Sweet. All right, well, let's jump into community makes. I wanted to share this. We got our first make for, I think, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, the LED physics toy. So thank you so much for posting this on our Thingiverse page. Thingiverse user AKF was here. 3D printed the LED physics toy in this very funky, cool colors from, I believe, Matter Hackers. Really nice when you give me a comment here, I can read it. From Maker Geeks, transparent blue PLA, 3D Racks purple haze PLA. Had a bit of a, the instructions a little bit. He printed out the box first without realizing that the gimbal case. So yeah, we do offer different designs. So you definitely want to follow the title of the STL as well as looking at the photos and just matching those up. So it wasn't really that clear, but hey, he was able to get it. And it turned out really well. It looks awesome. So thank you for posting that. AKF was here. Okay. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Discord. So you can share your projects and get project help by visiting and joining the Discord channel. This is a website that you go to, and it's basically a chat room that runs 24/7. There's about 3,000 people that have joined up. There's always people online. Great place to learn Circuit Python and other awesome projects that are going on. So that's discord.gg/Adafruit if you'd like to come and join us. Let's take a look at Cascade. He is sharing a screenshot of his ESP32 project. Looks like he's pulling some air quality data using Adafruit I/O TFT Featherwing display to stream the data directly from the sensor. Very, very cool. Looks like he's plotting some data here. Looks awesome. All right, we got number 2, who is, looks like the trellis box with a 4x4 button pad. It's a nice, always a fun thing to use. And we have, oh hey, Andrew Stott is sharing his, what is it called again? Minty Pie. It's actually a Altoids tin, but inside is a Game Boy Pi, Retro Pi console. So it's really awesome, so check that out. That's by Sudomod, the project is by Sudomod. He sells kits as well. Looks like Dewisser is giddy about the Vision Kit, the AIY Vision Kit. This is a new kit from Google. Very awesome. Yeah, Kirby had one too that he was playing with, and we'll probably get our hands on one eventually.
Yeah, Tony got one and was saying that the image models that they have for it, you can just throw in like a bunch of images and tell it, hey, this is a door.
Yeah.
You know, just keep giving it door images and it'll figure out, okay, this is a door. So you can make like a really cool security system for it.
Wow.
Lots of good possibilities for that. So we'll definitely be making a project with this.
This is an Adafruit power plant sketch. Yeah, it's kind of like the Tony Stark reactor, arc reactor. That looks really awesome. Look at that detail. Very awesome. Coil wrapping, 3D printed Grimblies, a couple of hardware. That looks really cool. Wow. I think it's powered by probably a Gemma from what it looks like, or Circuit Playground, one of those. You can see the pads, probably Gemma. Very cool. We have some more photos. Oh, it looks like Brian released his Zelda chest final video. So check that out. Check them out on YouTube. And looks like we have what looks like a VR headset for $100. Sounds like a cool project. We have some more assembly of the Google AIY Vision Kit. It's very cool. And then here's the final Iron Man inspired power plant prop. Let's see if we can play this video. Yeah, look at that. Looks awesome. Definitely a great use of 3D printing and electronics, obviously. Looks sweet. And then we have some more ESP82 LED controller stuff. That looks like a nice UI. A lot of great projects. Speaking of which, if you would like to share your project and win some free things, you can do so by joining us tonight. We have a show and tell. We do this show and tell every week at Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You come and join us. You can hang out in the YouTube chat room and we'll give you a link to be invited to the actual Google Hangout. And then shortly after that is Ask an Engineer. It's at 8 p.m. Lamar and Phil talk about all the latest news in open source electronics, open hardware, Raspberry Pi, Arduino, microbit, and everything that's going on in the Adafruit office.
Some of the secret behind
a
the scenes
lot of cool stuff. We saw some videos that were really, really nice.
There is a lot of cool stuff coming out.
Some stuff coming out, yeah. So hopefully you'll be a part of that. And tomorrow we have John Park. He's going to do a live stream at 3 or 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I said 3 or 4. I'm not sure which one. I always forget.
One of those.
But John Park now has a coupon code. Check it out.
Yeah. An extra day to get another coupon code.
That's awesome.
Yay!
Yay!
Don't forget that.
Don't forget you have been watching 3D Hangouts with me and Pedro. It happens every Wednesday, not a Thursday. It used to happen on Thursday many years ago, but hey, episode 170.
That's today?
That's today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't forget to follow us on all the socials.
Yeah, there's links.
Instagram, Twitter. You can see all the behind the scenes of what we're working on.
We have a little bit of time. We have about 5 minutes left. So if there's any questions,
Q&A.
Let's talk about them. I want to eat a cookie, but maybe off the shelf.
They're down here.
I'm a pig eater. Sorry.
Yes, Liz is saying that. Yep, handy when you forget to order a part on Wednesday.
Oh, that's fun.
You know what? Secret.
What's the secret?
Sometimes Phil forgets to turn off his coupon code. So try it the next day. But since, you know, you can either use ours or the...
yeah, you can use them both.
Ask an Engineer.
Can you use them both?
It should not work. If that happens to work, please let us know. Yeah. So we can look into that.
Like Kirby, remember that one time where we had the same coupon code for Ask Engineer?
Oh no, it was one of those edge cases.
Yeah, he got 20% off. Like, oh.
Secret Vault for next week? Maybe.
Do you have a
It
secret
just depends
vault?
on...
I don't have... I've shown you everything I'm working on. I have nothing to hide. I think we're good, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always
20% off.
Bit rough in the beginning because it's early and
yeah,
just woke up. It's tough. 20% would be awesome. Yes, only on certain holidays.
I think year of the end, where year of the end sales, which already happened, where they're doing 15% or 20% off. But yep,
I hope your printer stays healthy and you stay healthy as well. Weather's starting to warm up a little bit here. Has anyone put together the slider project? You know, I don't think so.
The latest one, I don't think so.
Not the latest one, no.
Several of the older versions of those.
I'm really loving it. I used it for just about every project. It really shows how...
Because I like being able to go around something so you can really see...
Well, I love it near the end of the shoot. I was like, all right, Paige is going to make the rest of these cookies. I know. I'll just set up the time lapse, let it do its thing for about 10, 15 minutes. I'll step back and we get this beautiful time lapse of you building these cookies at the end of the video.
So definitely helpful for builds of any project videos.
Yeah. Every build, yeah. We got a big build to do. Lego NASA.
Oh, the Saturn V.
The Saturn V rocket. We finally got it.
Finally got in stock. Finally got it in. Definitely want to remake that project. I'm sure people have seen where they do the little NeoPixel rings on the bottom, so it looks like it's taken off.
Yeah, all the clouds and smoke that's kind of coming off of the rockets. Yeah, that'll be fun. So that's a real one we want to do? Okay.
Looks like Phil just emailed another project idea, so probably do that one. I don't know.
Sweet.
He always comes up with the cool, challenging, but fun project to do. So I think that's going to be it for this week. Don't forget to follow us see behind the scenes, and don't forget to tune in for all the shows later tonight and tomorrow. Thank you all for joining us every week.
Don't forget the coupon code. Yes, thank you guys so much for joining us this week, and we'll see you later tonight.
Spy on the adafruit.com/new page. I think right around 6 p.m. is when all the new products start going up. So definitely check around then.
Also, don't forget you can win stuff. You can win a free new product by calling in the show at 8 p.m. Near the end of the show, of course. But you call in, we give you something. Thank you guys again. Good luck with all your maker endeavors. And don't forget to make a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.